Hello and welcome back. DJ Vapor with you. In this lesson, we're taking a look at the effects, which are right here. We're going to dive in a little bit closer and a little bit more detail on Pulse Engine A effects, which are identical to Pulse Engine B's effects. So I touched earlier on one of the opening lessons on, just a general idea of this. We also have global effects, which would of course affect everything at once. So we're focusing now just on the individual effect of Pulse Engine A. As I mentioned, I touched earlier on one of the other previous lessons in the general idea. You can turn Pulse Engine A on or off and Pulse Engine B on or off, and that's the buttons you have here. And then once you click on the actual icon or the image or square, it brings up the EQ settings, since we're looking at EQ. And then if I was to turn it on, it would bring it up for it over here. So you can set the EQ or any effect that you have available down here in two different ways, separate from Pulse Engine A versus Pulse Engine B. So of course you've got your frequency, gain, frequency 2, gain 2, kind of like your lows, mids, and highs basically there, and determining whether or not you have it on or off for both. And then you have a compressor. We've got a threshold, ratio, attack, and let's see what kind of sounds they're going to make for us. Find something worth listening to here. All right, so turn off the EQ. Got the compressor here. Pretty straightforward, threshold, ratio, attack, release, gain. Nothing too out of the norm there. It's just nice to have them individualized where you can set two different pulse engines depending on how many you're working with separately, one from the other. So got lo-fi, which you have your bits or bit range. And then the rate. And again, that can be set equally or different depending on how many engines we're using or what our needs are. Tape saturation. Pretty straightforward. It's going to give you that kind of tape sound or darkened tape sound depending on how bad you want it. Drive, gain, bass, mid, and treble. Stereo spread, the amount, just one simple little guy there. Delay, time, feedback, and wet. I find this quite intuitive actually. Being able to set the two engines separately. And the reverb is really, really good. They have a wonderful convolution style type reverb, at least in the global section here, but you've got pre-delay, your size, and then the amount or wetness. Flutter. And that gives you a general idea, and that's Pulse Engine A, and it's the same for B. So effects within the pulse engines are individualized and pretty straightforward. Let's take a quick look at global effects as we move on to the next lesson.